This is a video about algebra and multiplying with exponents. In each of the examples in this video, the instruction is going to be expand and simplify. We know that expand just means multiply out the brackets. And we know that simplify means add and subtract like terms. So let's look at our first example. So our first example is 3 bracket x squared plus 2 plus 5 bracket 2x squared plus 1. As I go through the examples in this video, make sure to have your copy and pen to hand so that you can pause the video and try to do these yourself. Okay, so with this example, I want to first of all expand. That just means to multiply out. You can see for my first bracket, it's being multiplied by 3. That means that 3 must multiply by each term inside in the bracket. 3 will multiply by x squared to give me 3x squared. And 3 will multiply by plus 2 to give plus 6. Try and multiply out the second bracket yourself. Pause the video here and then play and see how you got on. So I'm multiplying plus 5 by 2x squared. That will give me plus 10x squared. And then I've got plus 5 by plus 1. And these multiply to give me plus 5. It was quite simple to expand so far because I'm only multiplying by a number in each case. Okay, so the expansion is complete and now I need to put the like terms together. Again, pause the video here and see if you can do this yourself. So looking at the like terms must end in the exact same variables. So here I've got 3x squared and 10x squared. And they end in the exact same variable. They both end in x squared, so I can put them together. That'll give me 13x squared. The plus 6 and the plus 5 are also like terms, and they'll add to give me plus 11. And this is the end of this example. But let's just take one moment to recall our vocabulary from previous videos. What name can I give to terms like the plus 11 where it's just a number? This can be called a constant. What can I call this number that's directly in front of a variable? This number is called a coefficient. Here's a second example. Again, pause the video here and see how far you can get yourself. And then play and check and see if you're correct. So I'm going to start by multiplying the 4 by each term in the bracket. So 4 by 2x squared is going to give me 8x squared. And then 4 by 3x is going to give plus 12x. So I've finished now with the first bracket. And now I'm multiplying out the second bracket. And just watch out here, I've underlined this minus because this is a minus 2. And so I must take that minus into account when I'm multiplying. So I've got minus 2 by x squared. This gives minus 2x squared. And minus 2 by plus 4. Now just watch out with your signs. A minus by a plus gives a what? And it gives a minus. So minus 2 multiplied by plus 4 gives minus 8. Now I've finished expanding and now I need to simplify. So I look for like terms and I see that 8x squared minus 2x squared are like terms. I'm not including the 12x in this group because it doesn't have the exact same ending. It ends in x, whereas these two terms end in x squared. I have to have an identical ending to be able to put like terms together. So 8x squared minus 2x squared is going to give me 6x squared. There's no like term to go with the 12x because there's no other term that has just an x at the end. So the 12x will just stay as it is. And it's the same for that minus 8 at the end. There's nothing else to go with it, so I'll just write minus 8. Again, just take a moment to think about your vocabulary. What do I call a number like this? It's a coefficient. Are there any other coefficients in this expression? Plus 12 is also a coefficient. What do I call a number like minus 8 that's out on its own? This is called a constant. What do I call the letters in an algebraic expression? These are called variables. This is my solution for example 2. I've multiplied and I've simplified like terms as much as I can. So these two first examples have come into this video multiplying with exponents, really just to get us used to the idea of exponents existing in the expressions more than anything else. But from example 3 on now, we'll actually have to think about what happens when I multiply variables together and I have to deal with exponents as well. So here we have example 3. So I've got x multiplying by x plus 5 plus 3x multiplying by x minus 2. Same instruction still. I want to expand and simplify. Okay, so x must multiply by x. What will this give me? Well, it's going to give me x squared. The squared is just keeping track of how many times the x is multiplying together. There's two of them multiplying together. That's why it's a power of 2, which we call squared. X is multiplying by plus 5. That's going to give me plus 5x. Notice that I always write the coefficient first and the variable at the end. Now I need to expand the second bracket. I've got 3x by x. That's a plus 3x. So plus 3x by x is going to give me plus 3x squared. Again, that's because x by x is x squared. Now I need to multiply plus 3x by minus 2. Take account of your signs here. When you're multiplying a positive by a negative, what do you get? You get a negative. And 3x by 2 will give you 6x. Now I need to simplify by tidying up the like terms. So again, pause the video here, see if you can do this yourself, and then play and see if you're correct. So first of all, I've got x squared plus 3x squared. Now don't forget, when I'm adding and subtracting like terms, it's really the coefficients that I'm looking at. Obviously the coefficient of 3x squared is 3, but what's the coefficient of x squared? Remember, if there's no apparent coefficient, then you can always fill in a 1. So when I want to simplify here, 1x squared plus 3x squared is going to give me 4x squared. Plus 5x and minus 6x are also like terms. And again, remember that when I'm simplifying, I'm just adding and subtracting the coefficients. So plus 5 minus 6, it's minus 1. So I should write down minus 1x. Don't forget that if you need to, when you're adding and subtracting your coefficients at the end here, you can use your calculator. You obviously can't type the x in, but you can type in your coefficients to check that you're getting them out correctly. Here we have example 4. Up until now, I've been using x's as my variable each time, but the variable could be anything. It could be a or b or x or y. The same rules apply. Again, pause the video here and see now, can you multiply out the brackets here yourself? That's called expanding. And then play and see if you're correct. So expanding the first bracket out, I've got 2a times 3a. So I'm multiplying the coefficients together, and then I'm multiplying the variables together. So 2 by 3 is 6, and a by a is a squared. Then I need to multiply 2a by minus 4. Again, just think about your signs. A plus by a minus is a minus. So here I get minus 8a. Then I need to expand the second bracket. Again, I've just highlighted here that this is a negative 2a, so you have to take that into account. So a negative by a positive makes a negative. 2 by 2 makes 4. And a by a makes a squared. Finally, minus 2a by minus 1. So a minus by a minus is a plus. And then 2 by 1 is 2. And I have to include the a. You might wonder as I go through that question how I've decided that some of those terms are positive when there's no sign in front of them. Well, if there's no sign, then terms are automatically positive. And to finish the question up, then I have to just put the like terms together. Again, pause the video here and try to do that yourself. So first of all, 6a squared minus 4a squared, they're definitely like terms. Again, don't forget it's the coefficients do the work when I'm adding and subtracting. So 6 minus 4, so I'll have 2a squared. And then I have minus 8a and plus 2a, which are also like terms. And again, if you need to use the calculator for this, you can. So minus 8 plus 2, that's going to give me minus 6a. And now I've simplified as much as I can because I don't have any like terms left. So that's the solution at the end of example 4. Okay, so I'm going to do one last example for this video. And this time it's 4 bracket y squared plus 2y minus 3 minus 2y bracket y plus 4. My first bracket's a little bit longer than I've seen before, but I still take the exact same approach. I multiply the 4 by every term inside in the bracket. Pause the video here and give this a go yourself, and then play and see if you were correct. Okay, so 4 by y squared is going to give me 4y squared. And then 4 by plus 2y is going to give me plus 8y. And then just watch out for signs. Plus 4 by minus 3 is going to give me minus 12. Don't forget your rules of signs for multiplication. Okay, on to the second bracket. Now just watch out that 2y again, it's a negative 2y. Again, be aware of your rules for multiplication of signs. Don't forget this y is a positive because it has no sign in front of it. Okay, so multiplying minus 2y by y is going to give me minus 2y squared. Minus 2y by plus 4, well, a negative by a positive is going to give me a negative. And the 2 by the 4 makes 8. And then I also need to include the y. Okay, so I've done my multiplication. That's my expanding part of the question done. Now I need to simplify. That means taking my like terms and putting them together. So again, pause the video here and try and do this yourself, and then play and see if you're correct. Okay, so I've got 4y squared minus 2y squared. When I tidy these up, it's going to give me 2y squared. Again, don't forget, it's the coefficients really doing the work at this stage. That's 4 minus 2 is the 2, and the variable just stays as it was. Next, I have the terms that end in just y. So plus 8y, minus 8y. Now this is an interesting one. Looking at the coefficients, plus 8 minus 8 makes what? That makes 0. So I can write down plus 0y if I like, but if I have 0y, that means I have no y's. So actually, I don't need to write anything down for that. There are no y's, so I don't need to include them. They're gone. I can say if I like that these have cancelled out. Finally, I have the minus 12 by itself. Nothing to go with it, so I'll just write that down on the last line as minus 12. Again, let's just take a moment to reflect back on our vocabulary. What do I call a number like this in front of a letter? It's a coefficient. What do I call the letters in an algebraic expression? They're called the variables. And what do I call a number by itself with no letters? It's called a constant. And what do I call one of these guys? A power of 2 or a power of 3? Well, it can be called a power, but it can also be called an exponent.